Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, Halloween. So we have the World Series to recap for Game 3. Look at the Game 4. We have Monday Night Football to recap. College football we have tonight. We'll preview and pick that. NBA and NHL. Soccer, a future for the portfolio. We'll talk more NFL trade deadline as that's today. News and notes and best bet. We'll begin with the World Series. That was an interesting Game 3 result, and look ahead to Game 4. As the Rangers defeat the Diamondbacks 3-1 to take a 2-1 series lead. John Gray the win, Brendan Pfaadt the loss, and Jose Leclerc the save. Top of the third, RBI single, Marcus Semien, 1-0 Rangers. Top of the third, home run, Corey Seager, 3-0 Rangers. That was a 2-run shot in the bottom of the eighth. RBI single by Geraldo Perdomo makes it 3-1. That's your final. Max Scherzer 3 innings, 2 hits, no one runs, 2 walks, and a strikeout. He actually left the game due to back stiffness. We'll get into that later. John Gray in relief, 3 innings, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. And then came in the bullpen, Josh Sproles, an inning, a hit, 2 strikeouts. Aroldis Chapman, an inning, 2 hits, an earned run, and a strikeout. Jose Leclerc closes an inning and 2 strikeouts. Brandon Pfaadt finally had a bad inning in the postseason. 5 1/3 innings, 4 3 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Miguel Castro, 2/3 of an inning and a hit. And then came in Miguel Castro, an inning. And then Luis Frias, an inning and 2/3. A walk and 2 strikeouts. And then getting the last out for the Rangers in the top of the ninth, Andrew Saalfrank for the Diamondbacks came in. So now we turn the page to Game 4, 8 o'clock on Fox. We have Andrew Heaney and Joe Mantiply, so the D-backs are going bullpenning. I don't like the bullpenning strategy. The Yankees did that a few years ago, and it bit him in the ass, and then you could argue it cost them the playoff series against the Rays in San Diego during COVID. So I'm not a big fan of the opener in the postseason. But sometimes you have to do it by accident if there's an injury. But it's always good to have a above-average starter or even a decent starter in the bullpen. Like John Gray for Texas. So, yeah. So, it's a pick-up. Minus 180 HY over under 9.5. Overs minus 102. Unders minus 120. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 40. T-backs plus 1.5 is minus 170. The Rangers are on fire on the road in the postseason, winning both games against the Rays, both games in Baltimore, 3 games in Houston. 4 games in Houston, and then a game in Arizona. So that's 9 in a row on the road. And now let's make it 10 in a row on the road. So I'm going to lay the money line at minus 108 and to pick them against the Diamondbacks. All right, Monday Night Football. Recap the game. Detroit, predictable outcome, comes out on top by a score of 26-14. As I stay alive in my survivor pool, they're 6-2. Las Vegas is 3-5. First quarter, Riley Peterson field goal, 44-yarder, makes it 3-0. Second quarter, 31 yards for Riley Peterson, 6-0. And then 33 yards, Riley Peterson, 9-0. Josh Jacobs' touchdown makes it 9-7. And then with 27 seconds left in a half, 16-7 with a touchdown to Sam Laporta. Third quarter, pick 6, Marcus Peters, who I think could very well be on another team in less than 12 hours, makes it 16-14. And then Jahmyr Gibbs' 27-yard run makes it 23-14. And then Riley Peterson field goal makes it 26-14. And that was how the game played out. All right, college football. We do have a couple of college football games tonight. Maction on Halloween night. So that is pretty cool. So up at 7 o'clock on ESPNU, Northern Illinois and Central Michigan. I have Central by 1, total 48 and 7/10. And it's 5.5 in favor of Northern Illinois, total 45.5. I'm taking Central plus the 5.5 and plus 188 on the money line. That's insane. That Northern is that big of a favorite. And next is Buffalo, Toledo, 7:30 on ESPN2. I have Toledo by a whopping 20, total 54 and 9/10. And it's 50.5 and 50.5. So we have here a 4.5 point edge on Toledo. And less than a 4.5 point edge, slightly less than 4.5 point edge on the over. So I'm going to lay the points with Toledo, even though it's a big number, against Buffalo. And by the way, I was going to do college football playoff guesses, but maybe I'll reveal those on the show tomorrow. Now I'll move on to the NBA. We will recap the slate it was yesterday and look ahead to a smaller window for tonight. Nets over to Hornets, 133-121. Bulls over to Pacers, 112-105. Celtics over to Wizards, 126-107. Hawks over to T-Wolves, 127-113. Blazers over to Raptors, 99-91. Mavs over to Grizzlies, 125-110. Bucks over to Heat, 122-114. Warriors over to Pelicans, 130-102. Thunder over to Pistons, 124-112. Nuggets over to Jazz, 110-102. And the Lakers over to Magic, 106-103. All right, 3 games tonight. 7:30 TNT, Knicks, Cavaliers. So it looks like for this game that we will not have Darius Garland, Jared Allen, and Donovan Mitchell, based on what I saw the line. With Mitchell, I have Cleveland by a half, but without Mitchell, Knicks by 5. Beal's out for the Suns, but Garland and Allen have already been ruled out. It's 3.5 and 214. I like the over a lot. I don't want to touch the side. So give me the over in the Knick-Cav game. Maybe the Knicks can be a part of that. 10 o'clock TNT, Spurs, Suns. So Victor Wembanyama on national TV again. With Booker, I have Suns by 16 total. 10.5, and without Booker, not total 10.5. So without Booker, it's 10.5, and with Booker, it's 16 total, 226 and 17.20. It's 7.5 and 225. I'm laying it with the Suns regardless. That's low. I just think the Spurs are really bad. And then 10:30 of the Magic at the Clippers. I have the Clippers by 6.5 total, 220.5, and 6.5 and 218.5. I'm going to go over with that one, too, although they're doing some roster turnover right now. We'll get into that in news and notes. Now I'll move on to hockey. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to the slate for tonight. Hurricanes over to Flyers 3-2. Bruins over to Panthers 3-2 in OT on a game winner by Pavel Zacha. Kraken over to Lightning 4-3 in OT on a game winner by James McCann on the power play. Ducks upset the Penguins 4-3. Red Wings over to Islanders 4-3 in overtime on a game winner by Lucas Raymond. Rangers over the Jets 3-2 in overtime on a game winner by Mika Zibanejad, who is just the king of big goals from Rangers over the past 8 years or so. Stars over the Blue Jackets 5-3. Coyotes over the Blackhawks 8-1. Wow. And the Golden Knights over the Canadiens 3-2 in a shootout. Only 2 games tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN, Kings Maple Leafs. I think Halloween might have something to do with it. I don't know. I don't understand why there's not many games, neither the NBA or the NHL tonight. Leafs minus 154, Kings plus 128, over under 6.5, overs minus 130, unders plus 106. Kings plus 1.5 is minus 182, Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 150. Kings are off to a good start this season. I don't know if I believe in them to win in Toronto that much. I'm going to go with yes to overtime and plus 360. And then Preds Canucks at 10. The Canucks are minus 138. The Preds are plus 115, over under 5.5. Overs minus 128. Unders plus 104. Preds plus 1.5 is minus 10. Canucks minus 1.5 is plus 172. I'm going to do the Juicy Sorrow play and pick the under. All right, now move on to soccer. We have some games to go over, and I believe we have Champions League today. I could be wrong about that, though. All right, ELC West Brom over Coventry 2-0. La Liga, Villarreal over Granada 3-2. MLS postseason from yesterday, Orlando over Nashville 1-0. And Seattle over Dallas 2-0. I'm really mad at myself for taking the Pacers for best bet instead of Orlando. Oh my God. No UEFA group stage until a week from today. So that's good to know. Serie A from yesterday. Atalanta over Empoli 3-0 and Lazio over Fiorentina 1-0. We do have Liga MX tonight. We have 4 games, believe it or not. 9 o'clock we have Querétaro and Guadalajara. Querétaro's 15th and Guadalajara is in 7th. So there's a pretty big gap between these two clubs. We have EFL tomorrow, so that's good to know. Guadalajara plus 125, Querétaro 2-1 draw plus 230. I like Guadalajara plus 125. Toluca and Puebla. Toluca's in 5th and Puebla's in 17th. Toluca's minus 210, Puebla 5-1 draw plus 350. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals plus 124. 11 o'clock, Lyon and Unam. That's a really good game. Lyon's in 9th. And Unam is in 6th. Really, really good game. Lyon minus 110, Unam plus 270, draw plus 260. I'm going to go with the draw plus 260. And then last but not least, Monterrey and Necaxa. Monterrey's in 3rd and Necaxa's in the bottom. Monterrey minus 320, Necaxa plus 750, draw plus 420. I'm going to go under 2.5 goals at plus 124. We have Coppa Italia going on right now, believe it or not. Second round. On the right now is Cremonese and Cittadella. I'm going to see if I can pull this up. So Cremonese minus 110, Cittadella plus 330, draw 2-1. I'm going to go with Cremonese minus 110. 1 o'clock today is Salernitana and Sampdoria. Salernitana minus 155, Sampdoria plus 420, draw plus 270. I like over 2.5 goals, minus 118. And then Bologna and Verona. Bologna minus 185, Verona 5-1, draw 3-1. I'm going to do under 2.5 goals, minus 116. Copa del Rey. First round underway, beginning today. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Yes. CD Varia and Levante at 3 o'clock. Levante minus 550. Varia 15-1. The draw is 5-1. Under 2.5 goals, minus 104. Mensajero and Espanyol. Espanyol minus 460. Mensajero 11-1, draw plus 490. Under 2.5 goals, minus 104. 345. Casareno and Castellon. Castellon plus 110. Casareno plus 240. Draw plus 220. I'm going to go with the Castellon plus 110 on the road. 4 o'clock, Talavera and Almeria. Almeria minus 195. Talavera 5-1. Draw 3-1. Under 2.5 goals, minus 108. Monaco and Las Palmas. Las Palmas minus 1050. Monaco 24-1. Draw plus 850. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals plus 146. And last but not least, of Spanish Copa del Rey, Lorca and Eibar. Eibar minus 550. Lorca 14-1. The draw is 5-1. I like under 2.5 goals at minus 108. And we have more Copa del Rey tomorrow. And then also today we have DFB Polk. Soccer we had today. So, second round of the DFB Pokal today. So at 1 o'clock you have Wolfsburg and RP Leipzig. Leipzig minus 155, Wolfsburg plus 340, draw plus 330. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals, minus 106. Stuttgart and Union Berlin. Stuttgart minus 175, Berlin plus 440, draw plus 290. All right, so I'm actually going to lay 1.5 with Stuttgart at plus 184. Hamburg and Greuther Fürth. Greuther minus 250, Hamburg plus 550, draw plus 380. Over 2.5 goals plus, or over 3.5 goals plus 122. St. Pauli and Schalke. St. Pauli minus 210, Schalke plus 490, draw plus 360. I'm going over 3.5 goals plus 110. 345. Unterhaching and Dusseldorf. So Dusseldorf's minus 195. Unterhaching plus 470, draw plus 330. For this one, we're going to do over 3.5 goals plus 150. Kaisers, Leitern, and Cologne. FC Cologne plus 140. Kaisers, Luton plus 175, draw plus 250. I'm going to go with Kaisers, Luton at home plus 175. Bielefeld and Hamburg. Hamburg minus 195. Bielefeld plus 450, draw plus 350. I'm going to do over 3.5 goals, minus 106. And last but not least, Gladbach and Heidenheim. Gladbach minus 195, Heidenheim plus 430, draw plus 340. For the fourth time in this segment, I think. Over 3.5 goals, plus 108. And the other event we have today is the Carabao Cup. Fourth round begins today. 3:45, you have Exeter and Borough. Trying to find it. Here we go. Borough minus 260, Exeter plus 550, draw plus 340. This is a hard one. I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals plus 104. I was just staring at the spreads for a second. Sorry about that. Mansfield and Port Vale. Mansfield minus 150, Port Vale plus 270, draw plus 250. I'm going to go with Mansfield at minus 115. Then we have a couple of friendlies today. The notable one is Canada-Brazil at 6:30, but just getting underway is Tunisia and Senegal, and at 12 o'clock we have Ecuador and Peru. So Canada-Brazil tonight. I cannot find it. Here it is. Brazil plus 145, Canada plus 185. The draw's 2-1. I like Brazil plus 145 against Canada, and that's our last women's friendly until December. All right, now we'll move on to the portfolio. So, depending on what the Vikings do today, the offensive rookie of the year pick for the portfolio is probably down the toilet. You just can't assume injuries, and that's why it's so hard to bet on these things. Okay, so I like to sneak around, as you know. College football playoff is an interesting one. There's a team I'm staring at in the Big Ten that can conceivably make the college football playoff if a couple of outcomes break their way. This particular team needs the team that they lost to lose to a team that is still undefeated in its conference, and this particular team has to beat this particular team at home. I'm referring to the Penn State Nittany Lions, who are 24-1 to make the college football playoff. That is ridiculously good odds. I'm going to lay a tenth of a unit on Penn State to make the college football playoff at 24-1. I think that's excellent value for the Nittany Lions. Okay, now we'll talk some NFL trade deadline. There was a big trade that was made yesterday in the NFL. We'll get to the big NBA trade in news and notes. But there was a big NFL trade, and this was made by the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks as Leonard Williams heads to the Seahawks for a 2024 second-round pick and a 2025 fifth. Seattle really going for it. they needed help on defense, and they got somebody who is overpaid, but just is a flashy player. He's been good this year, but his contract's really bad. And I think the Seattle paid a good, hefty price for him. So I think that the Giants are going to end up probably winning the deal in the long term, especially if Seattle has some injuries and Geno Smith reverts back into a pumpkin. And that's what's the whole deal. This trade, whether it's a win or a loss for Seattle, sadly comes down to Geno Smith. And whether he could take them to the next level or not. And this trade is a win for the Giants, not only because they got a second-round pick for a guy that's overpaid, but that second-round pick could be a good second if Seattle falters. And good job on Joe Shane realizing the situation. And now it looks like the Giant players that are still available are receiving interest in the trade market. We'll see if they pull off any more deals. I think Adoree Jackson is the most likely to go. And I do not see Saquon going, though. I mean, I could be completely wrong about that, but I don't see Saquon going. But good trade for Seattle from like a player addition standpoint, but bad trade if they don't make the division round of the playoffs. That's going to be an awful trade for Seattle. It's going to be a bad trade if they don't make the Final Four, but it's going to be an awful trade if they lose in the first round, and a disaster of a trade if they miss the playoffs altogether. Because that second round pick is going to determine the outcome or the verdict of this trade and where that second round pick lands. And of course, the Giants are getting all the picks they can to potentially move up in a draft, of course. So, a lot of ramifications to this trade on both sides. And another thing with the Giants, Dave Gettleman would have never did this. I remember they were like 2-6, and they traded for Leonard Williams. Maybe they were like 3-5, but they were at a similar record to where they are now 4 years ago, and then they acquired Leonard Williams, and they gave up a third and a sixth, if I'm not mistaken, and then they turn around and get more back than what Gettleman gave up, which is very strange. And that is ultimately what might make this a bad trade for Seattle. Not necessarily his performance, it's where that draft pick lands. But if he performs well and they make the NFC title game, then it's a good trade for Seattle. In terms of other trades, so Seattle, I bet that was their move. I said on the show yesterday that they should have went and got a linebacker. I think the Giants have more guys to trade, as I already discussed. They'll stay in the NFC. Eagles, Cowboys. I think the Cowboys need to get a receiver. Eagles are set. They made their move, but we'll see if the Eagles do something else from a depth standpoint. Washington, we'll see if they move Chase Young and Montez Sweat or not. San Francisco, I think, needs more depth pieces. I don't think Arizona's going to trade Kyler Murray, but I could see a world where they move Zach Ertz and James Conner, but I don't know if they'll actually move them because they're on IR. Budda Baker, maybe. That's a name that I didn't even think about yesterday. And then the Rams, to me, are just too top-heavy. And I think they'll stay put. Green Bay, I think, should sell. They're in a similar spot to the Giants with a uncertain quarterback future and guys that really could help other teams. I mean, can you imagine if Rodgers was healthy and so was Bakhtiari? Then Bakhtiari to the Jets would be everybody's darling of a mock trade. Minnesota needs to get a quarterback if they want to remain competitive. I mean, for my Jordan Addison offensive rookie of the year ticket, I really hope they get a quarterback. Or else that ticket's dead. If they go the other way and sell, they might not win a game for the rest of the season. But I think Minnesota should try to win. Because the NFC is really bad as a whole. Detroit, I think, should be a buyer. And the guy that caught a pick six off of Jared Goff should be the guy that they should acquire, Marcus Peters. That'd be kind of poetic now. And then the Bears are obviously going to sell. Jalen Johnson requested a trade. He can help anybody. I think he could help the Bills. I think he could help the Lions, although I can't picture them dealing in division. I could see them going to Pittsburgh. I could see him going to the Chargers. I could see him going to the Cowboys to replace Diggs. So that's another one. Keep an eye on Dallas for a corner to replace Diggs. I didn't even think about that till now. I think Jalen Johnson would be a good fit there. New Orleans, I think, should buy. Like I said yesterday, they're the biggest feast or famine of the entire league. Atlanta should get Garoppolo or a different quarterback, Jacoby Brissett maybe. Them in Minnesota are going to be battling for quarterbacks, hopefully. The Panthers are going to sell. I don't know if Brian Burns will go. That would be interesting. Got to keep an eye on that. And we also have the Bucks, who Mike Evans' contract year, I could see him potentially being moved. And in the AFC, the Jets, maybe they get a quarterback upgrade over Zach Wilson. I mentioned Jameis Winston for them yesterday. Although Winston would fit on Minnesota and Atlanta too. New England's going to sell. I think Judon can go. I think that Kyle Duggar maybe could go. Devontae Parker, I think, is most likely gone, though, as I mentioned yesterday. Miami will buy. They need some help on defense, I think. And same with the Bills. Pittsburgh, I think, could use another receiver and could use another defensive back, especially at the cornerback position. Baltimore, running backs, their spot that they're aiming. Browns, they need offensive linemen to replace Conklin and then running back, I think they're okay. That Kareem Hunt signing was to replace Nick Chubb. So maybe they get a lineman to replace Jack Conklin for a rental. Bengals, I think, need help on defense. Still have some injuries on that side of the ball. Offensive line can be useful for them too. Houston, I think, should be a seller. That was a reality check loss for them against the Panthers. They're really not that good. I think Nico Collins could be had. And a couple of their veterans on defense, like Denzel Perryman and such. Colts will sell. I don't think they'll trade Taylor because they just extended him. But maybe Shaquille Leonard. Tennessee, we saw what they intend to do with the trading of Kevin Byard. Maybe Tannehill goes with the emergence of Will Levis. Somebody overreacts and trades for Tannehill. Minnesota. It's a downgrade from Cousins, but he has the weapons that he didn't have with Tennessee this year. We also have the Jaguars, who I think need help on defense, especially in the secondary. KC, they picked up McCole Hardman. Maybe one more big receiver would be nice for them. Chargers, definitely defense, especially like linebacker. Broncos, we know what they're doing. Jerry Jeudy can be next out the door. Josie Jewell, I predicted a trade for yesterday, or listed off a fit for him. And then the Raiders are going to sell. They should trade Marcus Peters. They should trade Jimmy G. I don't think they'll trade Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams should be had. So that would have been another popular Jet target for trade if Rodgers was healthy. So there you have it for some trade deadline chat again. News and notes. And I made that segment a little shorter than yesterday. So the big news of yesterday: James Harden finally traded to the Los Angeles Clippers as PJ Tucker goes to the Clippers in the trade as a throw-in, and then coming back to Philly is a better package than I anticipated. A 2028 unprotected first-round pick, 2 second-round picks, and a pick swap with the Thunder. And the pick swap's OKC. So the Clippers, so it's a 2027 first-round pick to Oklahoma City, clearing the way for OKC to move a protected 2026 first-round pick to the Sixers. And the Clippers are sending 2024 and 2029 second-round picks to the Sixers in the deal. And a bunch of players are in the deal as well. Marcus Morris, Nick Batum, Robert Covington, KJ Martin. Oh, and then going to the Clippers is Philip Petrusev. So, holy crap, a lot of players. I think the Clippers gave up a lot. I really do. More than I thought they would. I think the Sixers should be thrilled with the package they got back. I know that OKC pick is not going to be that great. It's probably going to be in the 20s. Unless if OKC's worse than we think and it's like the 17th pick in the draft. But the Sixers got some much needed depth. This kind of reminds me of the Dame Ayton deal when Phoenix got all that depth. But this is probably better than the Phoenix for in the Dame Ayton deal. I think that KJ Martin could play for them. Like all these guys are going to be rejuvenated. Batum, Morris, Covington, and KJ. I think those guys are going to be motivated, and now the Sixers can just relax and play ball, and hopefully, if they win, the Joel Embiid noise can calm down for their sake, and for the Clippers, who have been impressive in some games so far this season. Now they have what I'm going to call the 2016 All-Star team with Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. Literally, the 2016 All-Star team. And you could even argue 2015 All-Star team, but I'm going to say 2016 All-Star because that's when Kawhi started to peak as a player. So, yeah. Clippers going all in, and they're not as strong as a team from a depth standpoint that they were before the deal. So we'll see how that ultimately plays out. We talked about Max Scherzer leaving the game with back stiffness. He said it locked up pretty good. All right, some MLB manager stuff. Guardians meeting with Craig Counsell and mid-leagues to the Mets. Apparently he wants to go to the Mets. And that's where I think he's going to go because his old boss is there. Ron Washington linked to the Astros opening. He's the manager of the Rangers, and he's the current Braves third base coach. That wouldn't be a terrible hire for Houston. And that just spices up the rivalry with the Rangers even more. Woo! Aaron Judge wins the Roberto Clemente Award as he wins baseball's highest honor for sportsmanship and community involvement. Wow. Great for Aaron Judge. And it's awesome that he won that award in the year that he becomes captain of the Yankees. So, congrats to Aaron Judge. Really honoring award. Bad news for the Rangers. Adolis Garcia leaves the game with the injury as he's seen grabbing his back after a swing. Yikes. Now I'm nervous about the Rangers in the series. Some more basketball stuff. The Sixers waived Danny Green to complete the Harden trade. De'Aaron Fox to miss tomorrow night's game with an ankle injury, not great. Bam did not play against the Bucks. Kyrie Irving missed the game against the Grizzlies. Of course he did. And Fox is likely to miss some time with the injury, which is not good for Sacramento. There is a 5-star commit, Ian Jackson, that was shown trash talking and it went viral. Not ideal. Some college football recruiting is that Oregon flips an Arizona 5-star, Elijah Rushing, who is a amazing pass rusher in the 2024 class. So that is big for the Ducks. Steve Sarkisian says that Texas has college football's best win with the win at Alabama. That is an excellent win in Tuscaloosa, a win that I called on the podcast for sure. That's a great win, but there's debates. Jim Harbaugh disputes report about Michigan rescinding his contract after or offer. It was after the report, but he said that they were inaccurate. Please. There's no way he's back in Michigan next year. No way. It's the worst kept secret in sports right now. He's going to be coaching in the NFL. He's going to be coaching the Dallas Cowboys, the New York Jets, the Cleveland Browns, or the Los Angeles Chargers next year. Some NFL stuff. Obviously, Kirk Cousins done for the year with the torn Achilles, which is awful. We already talked about that on yesterday's show. Tyrod Taylor out of the hospital. He's considered week to week. That's not ideal. Matthew Stafford has a sprained toe. He's day to day. And speaking of Kirk Cousins, he attended a Vikings Kids Club Halloween event 24 hours after the injury, which is amazing. Devontae Adams speechless after the Raiders fall to 3-5. Well, the Raiders suck. You should have known that the Raiders were going to be bad, but you could argue they should be worse than that. They probably are worse than that. They probably should be 2-6, like the Giants and New England. And speaking of the Raiders, Jordan Schultz said he would be surprised if Vegas found a trade partner for Hunter Renfrow. I think Hunter Renfrow would be rejuvenated on a new team. The Arizona Cardinals have benched Josh Dobbs and will start Clayton Tune if Kyler Murray is not ready to return. The Bills are signing Leonard Fournette pending physical. That's an interesting signing. I do not recall discussing this, but it's a sad story. Former NHL player Adam Johnson passes away at the age of 29 after an on-ice collision during an EIHL game in England, and police are investigating. That's just awful news. Thoughts and prayers to the Penguins organization and his family. Rest in peace, Adam Johnson. That's just awful news. And then the Pens honored him before last night's game against the Ducks. Leo Messi wins the Ballon d'Or, which is soccer's biggest individual award for a record-extending 8th time. Wow. And then Jude Bellingham wins the Copa Trophy as he succeeds Gavi as the world's best player under 21. And then big news for Real Madrid, Vinicius signs a 4-year extension, so that's huge for Real Madrid and La Liga. All right, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. This is a hard one because there's not a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to lay a quarter unit. Like I said, this isn't easy. I am actually considering going to soccer for best bet. And I am. I'm going to Liga MX. And I'm going to take Guadalajara plus 125 at Querétaro. They should win that game. Laying a quarter unit on it. So Guadalajara plus 125 against Querétaro for best bet of the night. All right, that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything and look at everything tomorrow. NFL trade deadline. I might do a recap show separately in the morning for that. We shall see. If not, then I'll just do it on the show for tomorrow. We have the reality TV tomorrow as well, so that should be fun. Have a great day, everyone. Happy Halloween.